Alrighty, and thank you so much for joining. Today, my name is Andrew, first and foremost, and I will be focusing on understanding the publishing checklist when it comes to Campaign Builder, as well as what are some great troubleshooting tips that can allow us to be able to publish and make a campaign live. Here we have a campaign very similar to some of the elements that you'll see. You have a wide variety of goals that funnel into other sequences. And so the most important thing is this campaign was actually published before, so you'll notice a difference in color schemes. You have a lot of the darker green, which you're going to want to focus on, as well as the lighter green hues. This is going to be indicating that I had potentially a bit gone into that sequence and made any edits or alterations. And you'll notice here the darker shaded sequence. That just means that that sequence isn't currently ready. So we're going to go ahead and dive in a little bit more when it comes to actually publishing the campaign. So once you have everything configured and connected, meaning you have goals that connect into sequences, and I'll go ahead and showcase some of those in detail. But when we're ready to publish, the most important thing is to go ahead and click Publish here at the top right. You will notice that when you're here in the campaign, you'll have Publish at the top right. And you'll notice that we have our campaign checklist. When you are going to publish the campaign, the biggest important tool is noticing all of these little check marks. You have green for go, meaning it's checked out, it's ready to go, as some of you are familiar with. We also have our yellow caution. This one's actually indicating that we have 3 elements not marked as ready, and we can go ahead and dive into what those elements are. When you come across this when you're publishing a campaign, all you have to simply do is go ahead and click on that little side arrow. And when you get to the side arrow, you're going to notice that you'll have 2 caution yellow exclamation marks, okay? So this is going to be able to showcase where in the campaign do we have things that are not marked as ready. If you want to go ahead, we'll see that we have an untitled sequence, that the delay timer and an email are not currently marked as ready. If you would like to be taken into that sequence, the greatest thing to do is go ahead and click on the little eyeball here just to the right. That's going to take us directly into the sequence that's currently having this issue. You will notice that here in the sequence, you'll have a strand of communication. This string right here, if you notice, you're going to go ahead and obviously see our delay timer and our email, which are those darker shades of gray, which I had mentioned earlier, indicates that they are not marked as ready. So simply, as you did with other elements in the campaign, go ahead and configure your delay timer as such. We'll go ahead and set this one to 5 days. Why not? To run on a weekday, you'll notice you have other options here. I'll go ahead and run on a weekday as well. And 8 o'clock seems like a great time. We'll go ahead and click Save here. You will notice that it went ahead and changed the icon from a dark gray color to a light green. Once again, that light green is going to just signify that we had done a slight edit or an alteration to that campaign element. Noticing here with the email still dark gray, what we can do is we're going to go and double click into that email. Now remember, we do want to make sure that everything is set to ready. So you'll notice, which is great, we have my friend Mickey here, who everyone would love to be able to get an email, I'm sure. What we're going to go ahead and do is we want to set this email to ready. Since this check mark, this checklist is actually covering the ready function, I'm going to go ahead and close the checkbox. Notice at the very top right, you're going to have the draft function, and we're going to switch that to ready, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and go back to sequence. Some other elements we want to just make sure everything is green here. Make sure that we don't have any features that are listed in here. Another thing I would love to point out, from time to time, individuals or customers will want to bring out delay timers or maybe even emails. What happens is since it's a drag and drop with our campaign builder, sometimes people can drag, but not necessarily drag it all the way through. You'll notice that it'll automatically bring out a line right here. That's because those items were dropped right behind the toolbox. So sometimes people aren't able to see that they try to drag out an item from their tools, However, it stayed right behind their toolbar. So you'll notice you obviously cannot see it here, but you'll be able to see it once you close on your toolbox. We can just delete this. And that will give you an error. It's going to also show up in your campaign checklist as items that are not marked as ready. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the campaign, and we're going to go ahead and go back to publish. So let's go ahead and see what our campaign checklist shows. We also have one element not marked as ready. We can go ahead and click that. We're going to notice that we have an untitled sequence that is not marked as ready. So like I said, we're going to go to the eyeball. We noticed here that this untitled sequence, this has an assigned owner, which is configured. You'll notice that they are both light green, so they have been recently edited. They're all set, but what we're going to need to do is just set this over here to ready. Once again, all of our sequences, all of our processes and communications, every item is going to want to be marked as ready as you pull them from the toolbar. So we can go ahead and pull and go back to the campaign. We're going to go ahead and notice that every single one of these icons are at least a shade of green. That means, for the most part, we are set to go. So we'll go ahead and cancel, and we'll try this again. So when we go to publish, you're going to notice that everything is marked as ready. But here's the kicker. Sometimes when we have campaigns that have been published and we're making edits, sometimes you can get this campaign has failed functional inspection and cannot be published. Okay, this is actually, as you can see, the publish section here, which would typically be blue to be able to do a final publish, is grayed out. That means we cannot do a final publish. This can potentially happen when things are not configured properly. So, like we've been doing throughout the whole entire checklist, is we're going to go ahead and see. We notice that it's the shows interest. So the shows interest obviously is going to be regarding our shows interest clicks of link goal. The goal is being satisfied by a link that is no longer available in the preceding emails. So this is showing us that potentially there is an email that is configured to use this clicks of link goal, but that link is no longer available. So what we're going to do is we'll click onto this, and we're going to go ahead and see this email. Now, this is going to bring us this view that you'll see right here. This is actually going to be bringing us into the site of when you click on the clicks to link goal, okay? So this is as if we were to click the clicks to link goal shows interest, and I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. If you just click right here, the shows interest. Now we're in the clicks to link goal, okay? Notice that there was a link somewhere in this particular email that was not configured. Now how the clicks to link goal is you'll have every link in an email. And in this email, you're going to have check marks next to each and one of these emails that you would like to track. Notice that 0 of 2 links are selected. 0 of 2 links are selected here, and 0 of 2 links are selected here. That means that there's no links that we are tracking to move them through to the campaign. So this campaign was published before. That means to tell me that at one point there was a link in one of these emails that was selected and is no longer there. One thing that you guys did not see that I was able to do before was when I published this campaign earlier, I had a click here feature that I wanted to hyperlink that I wanted to use here. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the campaign, and we're going to go back into this email. Alrighty, so you just click into the sequence. We're going to go ahead and click into our first initial email, and then we're going to go ahead and hyperlink this text. Click here, okay? I want them to click here, and you know what? To link this, why not? I love Facebook. Let's go ahead and give them the feature to go ahead and go into Facebook here. So we'll go ahead and have them go into Facebook. You could potentially add a tag here. We'll insert that, and now we have a clickable link. All right. So I had this as a hyperlink before when I published it last time, and then what I did is I had deleted it. This can potentially happen when you make alterations to a campaign. Maybe you have a campaign that you had published, you had a launch, and then now what you're wanting to do is use this campaign again, but you want to change the content. Maybe you want to change the body of the content to have different links, And because you're using a campaign that already had a clicks a link goal, maybe you didn't have a link here in this email, which would, if they click that link, would propel them through the campaign due to that clicks a link goal. All right, so what happens is because of that, when you publish it again, the campaign is configured so that way when they click a certain link in one of those emails, they will move forward into the campaign. As we made additional changes that actually broke the link, and you'll notice that it wasn't able to publish due to that critical error. So what I did was I added a link into this email, and we're going to go and go back to Sequence. We're going to go back to Campaign, and then now we're going to go ahead and click the Clicks a Link goal, which is shows interest, and now we're going to go ahead and check mark this link. This is a link that we want to be able to monitor, so once people click this link, they can move forward into the campaign. So now that this is configured, all you would have to do is just make sure you do a little check mark next to any one of those links. You can go into any of the other emails that are in those in that sequence, and you can also check mark next to each and every single one of those links that you would like to track as well. So for the most part, you'll have everything looks green, everything looks great, a great indicator. Just make sure that you go into every single one of your sequences and just make sure that you don't have items in the sequence that are marked as, that aren't marked as ready. This looks good. In our other sequence, it looks good as well. So we're going to go ahead and publish our campaign. Everything marks up. Remember, you have all of our green check marks, which are great. That's definitely what you want to do. Sometimes you can have certain icons be a yellow caution exclamation mark, which would just definitely provide caution. You will notice, actually we'll go ahead and publish this campaign, and we're going to go over some scenarios that will provide some caution, but you still have the ability to go ahead and publish the campaign. Every single time that you publish a campaign, it will take you to the Performance tab. It'll show you contacts that are active or queued. Since this is a brand new campaign, we'll obviously not have anybody in this campaign. So we're going to just go ahead and click on the Edit function. So the campaign is published, all right? Sometimes what we'll do is, say if you wanted to add on some new additions to your campaign. So we'll go into this sequence here. And then what we're going to do is, say we're going to go ahead and add a delay timer. That's totally fine. We'll go ahead and configure this the way that we're going to want to. Day of a week, we'll go and choose Mondays at 8 o'clock. That works perfectly fine. And then let's go ahead and configure an email. Now, let's say that you have your campaign and you are working on your email. So we're going to go ahead and click onto this email right now. And maybe you're configuring the email, you're pulling up all the data, and you're just compiling all the data that you're going to want to add into this email. We can just say, I just want to let everyone know that they are absolutely brilliant. Okay, so we have this email. We're not quite done yet. You know, there's a couple of things I want to add into this email. Maybe I want to add some, more text. Maybe I want to add in some images. So I haven't quite yet finished this email, but what I am doing is I do kind of want to map out the sequence as to steps that I would like to have done when I reach that point. So, maybe I want to, have another delay timer that will wait. And this is us just building out the structure, and we'll fill out the content later. And then maybe we want to send him another email. Alrighty, perfect. Notice that these are all connected properly, which is phenomenal. Say we have our structure, we kind of been working on it. You're going to notice that once you go to publish these campaigns, you'll notice that the 3 elements that are not marked as ready, you will still have the publish function. So you can still publish. Just keep in mind that when you do get these caution errors, they're not necessarily critical errors that will prevent you from publishing a campaign. but it's more so you might want to keep an eye out. You do have things in your campaign that you haven't quite configured, but just so you know, you still have the ability to publish. You just might want to revisit some of these elements, if not configure them properly and quickly, so that way when people reach those elements, they're not skipped. All right, so we've kind of come to that point. Sometimes, from time to time, customers will have campaigns that they are working on, and they'll notice that certain elements are not marked as ready, but they can't see them, okay? A function I would love to be able to show you is zooming in and out of the campaign. If you are on a PC, you have the control plus sign that you're able to zoom in and out of the campaign. This allows us to make sure that there's nothing else in the campaign here. If you are on a Mac, you do have the command plus or minus. So just remember to zoom in, you do command plus, and to zoom out is command minus for Mac. If you have a PC, remember it's control plus and then control minus, and those keys can be found towards the backspace on the top right of your keyboard. I brushed lightly on a function that some people tend to do. For instance, noticing you'll say if I wanted to bring out a sequence, but then I change my mind. You know what? I don't want to add in another sequence. I'll just leave that be, okay? Okay, I just kind of clicked on it. I was like, oh, wait, nope, I don't want that. I'll just drop it in this toolbox, and then I go to publish. Now, campaign elements are not connected. This happens a lot when you do have, sequences to goals. Maybe in the sequence you don't have, delay timers attached to emails or tags, or maybe even certain processes, okay? So if you click into this, you will notice you have two untitled sequences, and you click into here, you can't really see much. Notice how you see all of this? It's like, okay, I'm clicking the eyeball. What is happening? Why can I not see what's going on? I don't see anything different here. Well, what you will do is we'll go ahead and close this, and we'll go ahead and click cancel. What I want you to do is now control zoom out. We're going to zoom out. Notice that you have these untitled sequences that you had originally tried to bring out, but you decided not to. Once you click and slightly drag any type of element, it will be there. Even if you can't see it, it'll still be behind your tools. So we'll go and cancel this out real quick. One way to close down your toolbox is to go ahead and click the drop-down arrow from Campaign Tools. And you can go ahead and move this over. Notice we have these untitled sequences, and we'll go ahead and exit both of those, which is great that we will have this ability. Okay, perfect. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and zoom back on in. And like I said, a lot of it is just, navigating properly into the campaign, just making sure that you see all the elements that you're wanting to see, and it never hurts to go into each one of these sequences and just make sure. My recommendation for some of you who do have longer strings of email communication, maybe you're doing an email campaign, the biggest thing is to go ahead and zoom out. As you have it all built out, you could potentially have items in this sequence that are not marked as ready. So keep that in mind. The zooming out feature is probably one of my favorite things to use when it comes to publishing a campaign, just to make sure that I got to see everything that I wanted to see in the campaign. So everything looks good. You want to make sure that you have all of these features set up. And just remember, as you publish your campaign, the checklist is really there. As you know, all checklists there is just to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. Just keep in mind with your publishing feature, you're going to be able to publish. Once again, you have two publishes that you've probably noticed already. You have the initial publish, which will bring up your checklist. as well as your final publish, which will make your campaign live or able to start the automated process so that way contacts can receive your marketing material and they can go through the processes according to how the campaign is configured. So, as a brief overview of what we have already talked about, I just want to go ahead and touch base on those elements that we've discussed. Okay, so first and foremost, when you are in your sequences, just make sure that as you bring out more elements, that if you, or any of the timers, communications, processes, or notes, or not necessarily notes, I apologize. As you bring in timers, communications, and processes, make sure that each and every single one of them are configured. If they are grayed out, just like you guys have done before, and if not, welcome for the first time. Make sure that you double click on that gray icon and make sure that you click save if everything is configured properly. I'm going to click save, and then it will turn that light shade of green, which just shows, like I've mentioned, that it has been altered or edited just recently. So make sure you have that one. Another thing is if you are pulling out any type of communication or time or even process, even if you bring it out just slightly, you'll notice that an error will be here. That's because it was still brought into the sequence. Even though you didn't probably want to bring it out, just go ahead, close that down, and maybe just delete that. Every single sequence, as another point, will have a draft ready feature. So you can have everything set to ready here, but if you go back to your sequence, it will still be grayed out, okay? So you want to make sure that you have all of your sequences set to ready. If all of the content is ready and this is configured the way that you're wanting to, make sure everything is set to ready there. As you bring in all of your goals and sequences, a big tip on your publishing of your campaign, like I mentioned, is the zoom feature, being able to zoom in and out. Once again, like I said before, the zoom in feature for Mac will use the command key, and then you're going to use the plus to zoom in or the minus to zoom out. So it is command plus or command minus on a Mac, and then it will be control plus or control minus to be able to zoom in or zoom out on a PC. What we can do is we can go ahead, once again, I'll go ahead and add in more sequences. And then maybe in this sequence, we can add in more timers. Maybe you want to add a tag this time around, which is great. You have all the liberty to be able to do so. It's awesome. Okay, so say for instance, we have our tags. We want to go in here. Perfect. Say for instance you forgot to do a tag. Maybe you have a tag here, but maybe you want to create a tag. Let me see here. Let's say webinar. You don't click create, you just click save, okay? Still not green. We still don't have this green feature. Remember, as we do this, we want to make sure that we publish. Another key point is just making sure that you click your arrow and just make sure you click onto these little eyeballs. This is going to take you directly to where the problem is at, so that way we can go ahead and configure these properly. So that way we'll be able to publish a campaign. If this campaign checklist is in your way as you try to configure everything, just make sure you can just exit out of it and we'll bring it back up when we publish. So we'll go ahead and we'll call it high end. Everyone should feel high end. So we'll go ahead and click save. That's perfect. So we've already done that. Marked as ready. An untitled sequence, if we click that, it obviously must be referring to this sequence because every single time I click it, all it's doing is this. So if I'm not mistaken, let's go ahead and see. Ah, perfect. It is. It is set to draft, and now we set it to ready. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and publish this campaign. 3 elements not marked as ready. So let's go ahead and click this. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead. And then what you can do also, if you do need to move this, and for some of you who have been working with Infusionsoft for quite some time, if you take your mouse and you right-click and just drag and click anywhere into the sequence or campaign, you will have the ability to move the campaign or the strands of communication as you will. So we'll go ahead and, like you're very familiar with, just making sure that you set everything to ready, configure all your delay timers appropriately, and then the critical errors. Now, critical errors can be very tricky. If you do come into a critical error and you do, and you're, just lost, if that critical error isn't as, it doesn't explain maybe as clear of what's really causing that error, feel free to give us a call. You can also chat in, showing that you're trying to publish a campaign and yet a critical error came. That way we can help troubleshoot with you on how to be able to get this campaign publishable ready. So I'm just going to go ahead and get everything situated and configured properly. And then, as you go in to publish the campaign checklist, just make sure you go ahead and click next to every single one of those elements. If you have any caution errors, that way it can take you directly into the problem areas of the campaign where we can get it configured properly. Other than that, it does look like this campaign is ready to publish. We'll go ahead and publish it, and we'll see if we get the green check marks. Perfect. We went ahead and got everything situated. Everything is all greened out, which is perfect. Sometimes you'll notice as you hover over these, it'll give you a nice little message towards the very bottom, which is fantastic. We'll go ahead and publish the campaign. And perfect. So once again, publishing campaigns, I know it can be a little tricky for some individuals when you're making a campaign live, but no need to worry. That checklist is definitely there for you to just make sure that everything is lined up accordingly. If you have any problems or you have maybe an error that does come up, feel free to give us a call. You're more than welcome to chat into us with our chat support. We do have all that information here at the top. We have our Help Center articles. You can also chat now here as well, so that way we can get you to have a campaign that's published. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Andrew, and this ends our Tuesday Trending Topics with publishing our campaign with a campaign checklist.